Alright, so she ran great. And then she didn't. So, both plugs were in. That wasn't the issue. I put both plugs in before we launched into the water. So, something I've got to probably through the hole somewhere. But I had water all the way into the engine compartment up here, just to the drop my bucket. So I had water almost to where the fuel line is. I can reach it right in here. So I had water up to about right there. So she started going slow, wouldn't accelerate, and then I could tell it was getting lower and lower in the water. So I made it back just in time, really, because I have been, I don't know, several minutes back here, and alright, so I feel like I'm starting all over with the engine removal, because what I'm having to do now is to take this pipe out again. So I've already loosened, unbuckled the outer gasket cover, whatever the actual name of this is. I've already loosened these two because I'm going to remove this pipe here. And so I've already loosened back down here the clamp on the neck of this pipe, and I've already taken out this 14mm bolt down here onto this engine bracket. So what I have left to do is take out these bolts here, and in the back I've already loosened this clamp here so as to move this water box back so that I can pull that hose connector back and help release it from the neck of this pipe here. So I got to undo that clamp here, and that will be about it. I should be able to wrestle this thing out of here. Well, I'll take that back. I've got the two bolts in here. I'm holding this upside down, but those two bolts right down in here, my fingers will point to them, they've got to come out, and then I can remove the top of this. So why am I removing this pipe? Well, I found out the leak that I was having in this thing. I took it back to the lake, I got on it, I set it in the water and sat on it. Nothing. No leaks. So then I knew that it had to be related to the engine and sucking in the water. So my first thought was it was going to be coming out of this pipe someplace, and you know, maybe I didn't have it tightened, or you know, I saw this gasket maker out over here, and I thought, well, maybe it was coming out there. But where it was leaking in was my hose connector here. Now this is not the one, this is my replacement, but if you're looking at that saying that looks like a water hose connector and stuff, you're right. I started checking around prices, and they're wanting $100 everywhere I looked. $100 for this hose connector that connects to the water hose down at the bottom of the engine, and comes up here where you connect the garden hose to it when you're running it out of the water. I'm not going to pay $100 for about a 2-foot section of hose. So this may not work, but this hose that I went and bought, that hose connector and this plug that I'm hoping this all works, all together about 12 bucks. So I'm gonna see, or hopefully make this work, and it fits right in there perfectly. I've already put the seat on. and the rear seat. It fits perfectly. It's not touching the seat, so there's not going to be any wear on the bottom of the seat. There's not going to be pressure right here down on top of the hull. So if this works, it's perfect. 12 bucks to do this. The problem is I cannot by hand. I pulled the old one out by hand, but I cannot get the new one connected to the water pipe down here. There's just not enough room, and I can't use enough force to get the hose over the connector with one hand, and there's just not enough room to use two hands down here. I have been struggling with it, so this is my only way to tackle this is to get this hose out of here, because the neck of it is down here and it's just over this connection at the pipe. So that hose that I'm trying to connect to is coming from the bottom. It's the bottom hose down here. It's coming right through the back of this ski and the back of this wall hose here, and it's coming right through here and right under the bottom of the ski. So this is where I'm trying to get this water line that I just purchased hooked back up to it, but I can't do it without, I need two hands. And I couldn't figure out, I tried different things to try to hold this steady back in here to where I could kind of force the new hose over the spout or whatever, and no luck. So I'm going to have to pull the pipe out. That'll clear a lot of room. Hopefully I can get two hands down in here and connect those two there. And if I can, and if it works, that's about $90 savings. And I checked eBay, I checked jet ski parts, different stores that had it, and I think the cheapest was like $92 all the way up to $106. And so that's just crazy stuff. That I'm going to see if this works first. I'm going to throw down $100 for, like I said, about a 2-foot section of hose. And so if this works, great. We're going to find out soon. But anyway, wasting time here. So I got to get this pipe out. Memories here. The pipe is out. And one thing I did differently to get this pipe out, before I had removed this air box on the carburetor, and that obviously created some room, but so I had to go ahead and remove this vent here. It was just too big and bulky, and it was just, there's no way I could fold it in there with it being bunched up right here. So had to take that out, and that freed up the pipe to just pop right on out. So I'm hoping now that this has given me room. Let's look back in here. What I'm going to have to do, as you can see, I have crawled all over that one. I'm having to do this on the trailer, so I'm going to jump on the trailer. This is the bad thing about living in a place, or living on a hill. So this trailer is sitting in the backyard, but it's not budging. We've had just downpour the last couple of days, and it is just sunk. And usually what I do is I move these trailers around with my lawnmower. Well, it's not going to budge it because the ground is so soft and wet. And again, you probably can't tell, I'm sure, from just this, that this slopes down and on a hill. So it's very frustrating at this point. So I'm having to work on the trailer instead of backing this thing up into the garage up the hill. So I'm going to get on the Kawasaki over there, stand on that one and lean over, and we're going to see if that allows me to, where is it? Here we go. So there's what I'm trying to connect to right here, and the neck of that pipe was coming right over the top of this, and I couldn't get any leverage because I could only get one arm or hand down here at a time. I'm hoping this frees up the space, so that I can slip this new hose right here, just right over that. Maybe I can do it from this side, but it wants to disappear, and that's what I'm talking about. There's nothing to hold it steady where I can get push from both ends. So there's no way I can do this one-handed. I've already tried that, so I'm gonna have to turn the camera off here and see if I can get this connected, and then get this pipe back on this thing. Alright, let me see if I can get that done. Alright, so I got the new hose in. Got it zip tied over to the far side of the hole there, and we're connected to the water line. So we got it in. I'm going to see if this will work. We'll see how this works as far as just connecting to the water hose, but rarely. I think I've had the hose hooked up to this twice, but that's it. So it's not like something I use all the time, and there's probably some kind of, if this doesn't work, there's probably some kind of adapter that I could screw into the hose connector there. So we'll see. But for right now, like I said, 12 bucks. I'm gonna let roll this and see if this will work. I don't think I mentioned, but the old line had a, I guess from the clamp. I just lost my mind for a minute. It had a tear in it, and it was along the lines or close to where the clamp is, and the tear went all the way through. So when I took this to the lake, started it, and it's just kind of well, like I said, I sat on it. No water was coming in anywhere from the back, anywhere. So again, that's how I knew that it was contingent on this engine being running. So as soon as I cranked it, I sat there for a minute, and still I didn't see anything. But when I gave it a little throttle and started kind of cruising around the dock there, I couldn't see at the time where the water was coming in, but I could see that it's starting to swirl down here, and so I knew water was coming in, and that's when I reached down there, pulled the line, the old line up, and so it had a tear down here at the bottom, and that is where my water line, it wasn't a big tear, so that would kind of make sense, but we did get a lot of water. 2 hours we had this thing totally in the water. An hour and a half we rode it. The other 30 minutes just tied to the pier and or the dock there. So anyway, so an hour and a half of this engine running is what it took before we finally started noticing that water was filling up, that the back end of the ski started sinking. So all right, I'm going to get this pipe back in, and hopefully that cures my water problem. And all right, I'm going to bring you in here just to close this video out with an update on how my hack job here did out on the lake. We spent pretty much the entire day out on the lake, and so we rode it for a little while, stopped, and what was happening is, I would call like weeping, had just little beads of water that was coming out, and but not anything serious. But when I took the seat off and I looked down in here into the hole, if it will adjust, there it goes. So I could see the little beads of water, but again, not much, just kind of rolling down that hose. But I don't think it was anything significant enough that I had to tape it up. But I went ahead and duct taped it off there, and it was great. No water. Got down in the hole from here, so this actually worked. And you kind of see this kind of getting rusty there from the outer edges. But anyway, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep looking at stuff. I had a co-worker who pretty much laughed at the thought of me putting a galvanized steel plug into a brass hose fitting. You know, he said he didn't think that would work, and you know, it didn't really. I mean, it worked good enough, but it didn't totally shut the water off. And you know, the main thing here is that obviously the threads don't match up. So I'm going to try something different. Now, this is a very cheap hose fitting. I've got another here that's a much better quality, but I think the spout here is too big for this hose. I'll pull this off and take a look at it, but this is a much better quality, and so I may try that, and I also may try this fitting, and let's just see. You know, I'll keep experimenting. Thought maybe this might fit better, and have the hose connector up there for the garden hose. We'll see. I'm going to keep playing with it, but I'm happy with my little hack job here. Didn't have any issues. We were on the lake all day, and no problems. So this worked. Looks ugly, but nobody sees it unless you have the seat off. So who cares, right? But if any of you guys have had same issue, you swap this out, or you know of a certain way, you know, to stop water altogether that I don't have to use any tape, put a comment below. Let me know. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm not going to shell out $100 for this little piece of hardware and a hose. So, well, all right, I'm going to close the video here. As always, appreciate you guys joining in, and let me know you have any remedies here on this, and I'd appreciate it. All right, thanks.